So when editing your photographs for your final 5, one thing you're going to want to do first is crop your image. And you can crop this any way that you would like. What you want to look for is a nice composition, something that has maybe the rule of thirds. Maybe it's asymmetrical. Not everything has to be symmetrical. So once you identify a nice little crop, I would keep it to a 4:6, 5:7-ish type of ratio or a square. I'm going to crop my image. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Command J, and I'm going to rotate my image because I don't like it the way that it is, so I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees clockwise. I think it looks a little bit better in this orientation. I'm going to rename this layer to say Sharpen. I'm going to go up to Filter, go down to Sharpen, and go down to Unsharp Mask. Here you're going to want to sharpen your image. It could be a little bit, it could be more than a little bit, but you don't want to go too far because you don't want it to look too cartoony. Just enough so that it crisps up your edges. Okay. And I'm going to duplicate this layer one more time, and I'm going to do a little photo retouching. So I'm going to pick up my spot healing brush tool, and I don't really like the way some of these round little dots are, so I'm going to use my spot healing brush tool to get rid of some of the extra little bubbles that are on here. If you have scratches, if there are words, whatever might be in your image that you want to get rid of that you don't think adds to it and you think it distracts from it, take it out. That's what we have Photoshop for. Scratch down here. Once you've eliminated all the parts that you would like to get rid of, we can go ahead and fix our contrast. So I'm going to use a levels adjustment. I'm going to increase my highlights and bump over my shadows just until you think it looks right to you. So from here you can leave it as is. You can stop right there if you're happy with the image the way that it is. If you wanted to take it a step further, we could duplicate our retouch layer, and I'm going to rotate this layer about 180 degrees. You could also take a totally other image that you've taken and lay that on top of it. I'm going to change my blend mode to something like soft light, which then gives you a nice little blend mode and a nice added interest to your photograph just by duplicating and rotating a layer. You could also do something like exclusion, which gives you a nice light feel to it. You could also adjust your opacity at any time to make some of this stand out maybe a little bit less. So these are just all options that you can use. You could also, if you wanted to, add a black and white adjustment layer and use the little hand to make certain areas brighter and then make certain areas darker. You could also play around with the dodge and burn tools as well to give yourself a nice little black and white image. You might want to do this with some of your paper images. And you know, those are just a couple things. Now there's about 2 more things you could do. So after you go ahead and add your levels adjustment to another photo, notice it brings out the colors, and you could use some retouching as well. One of the things you might want to do to bring your focus into the center of your photograph is go to Filter, down to Lens Correction, and add a vignette. And if we hit Custom over here on the right, you can add your vignette. You can also make it lighten in the corners if you want to, but darkening it usually brings your attention into the middle of the photograph. So that's one little added effect, just like we did with your family portraits, that you can do. You could also, take one step further, like I said before, and pull in a layer from another image, like that last one we looked at, and set that back to normal so we can see it. And you could use another image on top of this one and combine images to kind of create a composite abstract photograph, which is totally okay as well. Hit that to overlay, you kind of get that different transparent look to your photograph, which is actually kind of neat. You could even duplicate it one more time. It gives a little bit more depth. You could rotate it in the opposite direction, and you kind of get this nice layered effect going. So that's some things that you can do. Good luck, have fun.